All right, so I got to tell you, it's going to be a 36-minute PB. It's a big PB. So I want to frame the start of this video by telling you it's a 3-year plan. We've got time. There is no rush. And within that 3-year plan, I've got some fundamentals that I've been working on in my own running recently with the athletes that I coach recently. And I think it's going to really help build towards a stronger aerobic base. And as a result, a better marathon result. But before we get there, let me tell you a little bit about my background in the sport of running. So currently my best time's 3 hours, 5 minutes for the marathon. I know it's a 36-minute PB. It sounds like a lot. It is a lot, but I have to frame that with the context of in 2018, it was more of a sporadic decision to run this. I was training like a middle distance runner. I was doing speed work. I wasn't training like a marathon runner. And I paid the price dearly. It was a good experience to realize what people were speaking about when they hear about hitting the wall in a marathon. I went out for the first half and thought, wow, marathon's the easiest event in the world. What's everyone talking about? I ran an hour 19 and then an hour 46 for the trek home in the second half. And I ate a whole dose of humble pie and realized that day, if I was ever going to commit to marathon training, I had to do it well. I had to do it with a plan. And that is exactly what I've got right now. I've got the bug back. I retired from running in 2014. I was a competitive track and field athlete. I was good here in Australia without breaking many records. I was a 349 1500 meter man, 810 3000 meter man. I ran 1424 over 5K. I won the Melbourne Marathon 10K in 2011. I think I ran 31:07, but my fastest time was 30:53 on the same course a couple of years later. So I've dabbled in the road running, but from there, honestly, after 2014, I stepped away and thought I was never going to compete again. Don't know what happened. The bug has been reignited. I'm so excited working with the athletes that I'm coaching, being in and around the sport so much that I just started to think, I wonder how fast I could run before I turned 40. And that's what brought me to this goal. I'm about to turn 37. And as I said at the start of this video, there's some real fundamentals that I've decided to focus on, which I think in 3 years is going to set me up to run a fast time. I said 2:29. Just between you and I would like to run faster, but we'll talk about that closer to the time. For now, the purpose of the video is to explain to you how I intend to take all of this time off my marathon PB, not just because I hope it's interesting to you, but because I hope it serves as some food for thought as to how to plan and structure your own training for the endurance events that you're a part of. So let me break it down step by step. So currently I'm only training 4 days a week. When I say training, I'm only running 4 days a week. I'm doing strength on the other days, but here's my current running plan and why. Sunday, I'm currently doing 18 Ks or just over 10 miles. On a Tuesday, I'm doing a recovery run, which is about 10 to 12 Ks. Thursdays, I'm starting to alternate some more intense sessions, tempos, thresholds, intervals, and hills. And then on Saturday, I'm going out and doing a recovery run. Same as Tuesday, very relaxed, very easy. And I'll sometimes put in some 60 to 70% effort strides, either uphill or on the flats at the end of that. On the days that I'm not running, I'm currently strength training. I'm using the Finish Strong book by Angelo Gingerelli, which is targeted towards triathletes essentially, but has a really good running chunk within the book. I'm currently doing his off-season or base season training plan just to keep my body strong so I can hopefully feel as I'm absorbing that heavy load that I'm going to start to put on my body in the next 12 months more effectively. I'm in the gym 2 days a week, and that third strength day, I'm doing some Pilates just online with that chick called Move with Nicole. She's got some intense sessions which really reveal to me weaknesses in and around my body that I just didn't even know were weak, or a muscle for that matter. It's been really eye-opening. And so the goal with the 4 days a week of running is one of the biggest mistakes that distance runners make is they do too much too soon. I've learnt it. I'm sure you've learnt it. Anyone who's been in the sport for a long period of time now will have learnt it. And so that 4 days a week, right now, I found myself in a sweet spot. I'm doing about 30 miles or 50 Ks. And my rule is if I can do that consistently, that training program that I just described to you for 10 weeks without any injuries, without any niggles, then I can introduce a new run into my midweek. I'll do that for another 10 weeks. And that's how I'm going to gradually build up. Ideally, I would like to get up to around 80 to 100 Ks a week as my base phase. The 100K a week would be the upper end of a base phase, to be honest. Around that 80K mark, assuming I'm not in taper or assume I'm not recovering from some heavy race, that's where I'd like to be. Now, over the course of 3 years, this is going to allow me not only to build running strength back into my legs and build the aerobic strength, but it's going to allow me to build slowly over time. So there's no rush anymore. I think this is something that we can all apply to our running. Slow down the intensity, slow down the build up, and make sure your body can handle what you are throwing at it more effectively. Now, beyond that, what I'm going to do is this year I'm treating as a little bit of a welcome back to the sport. I've only got 3 races planned. The Ballarat 10K, I'm going to do a half marathon in around June. And I would love to get a start to the Melbourne Marathon. But the problem is it's sold out like a week after registrations open, which is unheard of, which means I missed an entry yet again. But that's a story for another day. So if you've got any ins in the Melbourne Marathon crew, you'd like to help me out, I'll really appreciate that. Otherwise, I'm going to go out and just try and find another marathon to run. Now, truthfully, I think if I could run around 240 for the marathon this year, that would be unbelievable. If I could run 240 to 245, that would be a really good start. One thing that you notice with athletes who are relatively new to the marathon is at the start, their legs just have to get used to the impact that you're throwing on it. This year is all about finding out where I'm at physically. I would much rather be a little bit underdone than a little bit overdone. My goal is to avoid as much injury and sickness as I possibly can, which we all say is our goal. But the truth is, I think even looking back at my own running career as a junior and in more recent years, sometimes the work that I'm putting in doesn't actually match up to what I say my goal is. So if I can be slightly underdone, but injury-free and feeling strong and seeing improvements, then I'm going to be happy. More than that, I'm right on the heart rate bandwagon. At the moment, so much of my run is dictated by heart rate. On a Tuesday, on a Thursday, and a Saturday, all of the efforts that I'm doing is being guided by heart rate. The recovery runs, obviously, zone 2. The more intense runs, upper stages of stage 3, 4, maybe even dabbling slightly into 5 from time to time. My Sunday long run, really, it stays between zones 2 and 3. But as I get to the back end of that, I'm not going crazy. But if my legs have warmed up and I'm in a bit of a rhythm, I try not to slow that down. I just enjoy going out there and just letting my body do what my body does at the back end of a long run. Now, when it comes to the actual approach that I'm using, I've had people like Gordo Byrne and Phil Maffetone, creator of the MAF method, on my podcast. And honestly, I think the foundation that I'm using for my running is very much in line with their philosophy. It's that aerobic zone 2 style training. It's underdone slightly with the intention of being consistent. The thing that I'm not using, which Phil Maffetone recommends, is fat as fuel. I'm still using carbs as fuel because I feel as though that just works for me. I feel more comfortable. I feel as though I'm still seeing some really good improvements with that particular diet. Will it change? Maybe in the future I'll look at it, but I'm not going to change it if it's not broke. As the old saying goes, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So for now, I'm not going to change that too much. I think one thing that's going to come over time is that as I get back into racing, naturally, your fitness level will improve, your horizons will be stretched a little bit more. And I think as long as I stay in one piece, that this goal is really realistic. But essentially, they're my goals. I want to be consistent. I want to be slow. I want to be slightly underdone, but I want to do it for a long period of time until I can really navigate exactly where my limits are at. Truth is, there's so much that I'm going to learn in the next few years. I'm excited to keep you posted on it. If you're interested in finding out more, make sure you jump across to the Relax Running podcast. I'll be speaking about it more regularly there. If you've got any questions, comments, leave them in the comment section below. I'll keep you posted over here, and I'll speak to you all again next week.